In case y'all missed my Cam Thomas video, I kind of teased that I was going to talk about Kanye West and how this article that was written up on Yahoo News was trying to make it seem like he was the reason or the rise in anti-Semitic rants from people, whether they are well-known people or just some random unknown individuals, and how they just have to always find a way to make a black person, especially a black man, the face of anything bad or negative, even if he doesn't deserve to be there. Now, I have had my criticisms of Kanye West. Those of you who have been following me since late last year knows I had my criticisms of him for some stuff that he has said in the past. I recently just did a triple P about Adidas and how they pretty much shot their own selves in the foot and losing, probably stand to lose about $1 billion in revenue because they dropped their biggest client. Well, now I'm here to talk about this article, which to me screams hit piece, about how they claim Kanye West is the reason as to why there's a rise in anti-Semitic rants. The title literally reads, "New report shows real world impact of Ye's anti-Semitic rants." Real report. So it sounds to me like they were trying to do a quote unquote study, as if he's some kind of experiment. And the preface says the Anti-Defamation League has documented at least 30 anti-Semitic incidents since October 2022, including vandalism and targeted harassment that reference Ye. Notice they said since October of 2022, but there has been so many other things that happened before he even uttered a so-called anti-Semitic rant years prior to that. Let's talk about how it's been some PC individuals who was trying to or did shoot up in a domestic terroristic way synagogues. Didn't one of them happen last year? It was 2 white guys, and one of the ones that was involved with that has a relative that's still alive who was in the Holocaust, who was a victim of it, still breathing. And I think that happened after Kanye West, and I don't believe he referenced him anywhere in any kind of document or statements that he made. Or what about the one that happened in, I believe it was Philly a few years ago? This was pre-pandemic, and he actually was successful. People actually died. It was basically, it almost reminded me of what Dylan Roof did. But they don't want to talk about that. But let's talk about Kanye West and how he's the reason as to why there's a rise in these type of rants. More than 2 months after Kanye West's last public anti-Semitic tirade, the rapper and fashion designer has largely disappeared from the headlines. But I bet you wish they would pop up in the headlines. Oh, wait a minute, he did by you posting this. So see, they just said right there that this is their reasoning. They said he disappeared from the public eye for the last couple of months, which is fine. I mean, he just needed to lay low. And I believe whenever stuff starts to happen like this and just goes off the rails, just lay low. I said the same thing about Chris Brown. Just lay low and let the dust settle and then reemerge. But they just said right here, because he's laid low, now they have to write this hit piece in order to bring his name back into the news. Because apparently it was a slow news day. But a new report from the Anti-Defamation League illustrates the lingering impact of his hateful comments, which continue to inspire real-world acts of harassment well after the mainstream news cycle had moved on. So there you go. The ADL brought this back up when they said the world seemingly moved on. But see, they didn't want the world to move on. They wanted to keep it right there so they could, continue to throw daggers at this dude. According to the report, which was released Monday, the ADL has documented at least 30 anti-Semitic incidents that directly reference Ye since October 2002, when the Grammy-winning hip-hop artist first made headlines for a series of anti-Semitic social media posts. The incidents listed in the report include several reports of graffiti featuring messages like "Kanye is right," sometimes accompanied by swastikas scrawled across headstones at a Jewish cemetery in Illinois, the welcome sign at an Orthodox synagogue in the Bronx, and a bridge in Massachusetts, among other locations. The report also cites several reported incidents of harassment, such as the influx of hateful calls and social media messages that the Holocaust Museum of Los Angeles said it received after offering Ye a private tour in late October, which he turned down. We know what that so-called private tour was. That was their quote-unquote history lesson, like they did with Nick Cannon. Other examples include the case of a man who was charged with 2 counts of ethnic intimidation December after he was heard saying Kanye was right while hurling anti-Semitic slurs at parents and children outside of a synagogue in Michigan, as well as that of a man accused of yelling F you, and I'm not going to say the next part, but y'all pretty much know the word rhymes with you, and Kanye 2024. Before physically assaulting a man in New York City Central Park that same month. Well, here's the thing. These people are of their own mind. If they decided to go and do those things, that's on them. It should not be on him. Of course, they're going to say it's on him because apparently he has these mystical powers where he just waves his hand like he's a wizard, and all of a sudden he's got them under mind control. Just like, when it came to 45 and January 6th. Granted, he planted that seed, but they are the ones who went out there and made the conscious or unconscious decision to go to the Capitol and do what they did. So you can sit there and blame Trump all day, but guess what? Trump wasn't out there. He's not the one on trial when it comes to this. They are. So they couldn't, if they wanted to lock up Trump, it wouldn't be for that because he wasn't there. Just like when it comes to these individuals, they made the conscious decision or unconscious decision to go and say and do the things that they're doing. Kanye West did not force their hand and make them do it. They used their own brain, no matter what the capacity of it is, and decided to make the move on their own. These are grown adults, not children. What Ye did has essentially opened up the floodgates for people to normalize anti-Semitism. Oren Segal, vice president of the ADL's Center on Extremism, told Yahoo News, the Jewish community is still dealing with the consequences of what he said and how he said it. The artist formerly known as Kanye West has a long history of erratic behavior and controversial statements, often at the expense of the black community. But in early October 2022, he began using his massive public platform to launch a conspiratorial tirade against Jewish people. Now, what I find to be very interesting is that they mention the black community in here. They have no problem if he's saying something about us, because with that slavery was a choice thing. But the minute he said something about them, oh my God, he is influencing people to go and do this and go and do that. That goes back to what I was saying with my Adidas video, the Triple P I did on them. They had no problem when Kanye West said slavery was a choice. And I even showed the screenshot in the video from an article that is still very much on the internet today, because that's how else did I get it, of them backing him up. But the minute that he says something quote unquote anti-Semitic, oh, we got to drop him. And now their stock and their revenue is plummeting. In a series of posts on his Twitter and Instagram accounts starting on October 7th, Ye suggested that Jews were using their supposed control over the entertainment industry, a popular anti-Semitic canard, to sabotage him and vow to go DEFCON 3, on them folks. The post got Ye temporarily blocked from the social media platforms, but he doubled down on the hateful remarks in a number of interviews with Talk TV's Piers Morgan and News Nation's Chris Cuomo. Meanwhile, leaked clips from an interview that had aired on Fox News days earlier revealed additional conspiratorial comments about them folks that had been cut from the official broadcast of Ye's sit down with Tucker Carlson. Outrage over the anti-Semitic outburst prompted a litany of other companies to cut ties with Ye, including the talent agency CAA and Adidas, which they are currently going through it right now, thanks to them doing that, which had partnered with the rapper on his Yeezy shoe collection. But by late November, Ye was back on Twitter and in the news, digging his heels in even further with a series of public appearances with well-known white nationalist and Holocaust denier Nick Fuentes, including at a dinner at Mar-a-Lago with former President Donald Trump. Following an hours-long appearance on conspiracy theorist Alex Jones' show InfoWars, where he praised Hitler and the Nazis, and a series of tweets, which included a photoshopped image of a swastika inside a Star of David, he was once again suspended from the site. Ye's comments followed a larger wave of anti-Semitism, which has been on the rise in the U.S. in recent years. According to the FBI, 63% of religious hate crimes in the U.S. are motivated by anti-Semitism. Let me stop right there. I find it very interesting, that they mention about it, religion, and it is, because this based on Judaism, which is a religion. But I find it very interesting how these are the same people who try to separate that from being PC. If you try to tell a PC person and that, about the combining the race thing with religion, when it comes to them, they will be quick to call that anti-Semitism. Meanwhile, Whoopi Goldberg said what she says, and technically her last name is Jewish, but they treat her with the utmost disrespect every chance they get. And a lot of the time is because whenever you say something that would be deemed as true, them folks and PC get offended. I see a lot of similarities when it comes to that. It seems to me some of them get offended by some of the same things. I'm just saying. In 2021, the ADL recorded 2,717 incidents of anti-Semitism nationwide, 34% more than the year before, and the highest number on record since the organization began tracking such incidents in 1979. But while Ye is hardly the only person in America to promote age-old stereotypes and conspiracy theories about them folks, he certainly is one of the most famous people in recent histories to do so, at least publicly. And that's exactly why they have to go after him, because he's famous. And he's black, so so that's killing two birds with one stone. Before his most recent suspension from Twitter, West's account had more followers than there are them folks in the world. Check this tweet out. Now, this is a tweet from someone. Kanye West has more Twitter followers than there are them folks in the world. There are an estimated 14.8 million of them, and he has over 30 million followers. The version of them, are experiencing a historic rise in anti-Semitic incidents. His actions are extremely dangerous and must be called out. You know what this screams to me? They're saying that it's so little of them. His followers pretty much almost doubles in size compared to them. And this is somehow some kind of an extermination tactic that he's sending out to 30 million people. So do you think that 30 million people are really taking heed to everything that he's saying? And that they're just going to all come after them? They're basically saying he's the big black boogeyman that's creating a factory of other boogeymen. That's really what is saying to me when I read that. At the time, Yahoo News interviewed experts on extremism who expressed concerns about the broader potential impact of someone like Ye using his massive platform to broadcast these kinds of ideas. The findings of the ADL's new report suggest those concerns were warranted. There's a different type of impact when somebody in a position like his promotes that hatred, said the ADL Segal. What we're showing is that it has had a real impact on the ground. The center's researchers found more than 9,400 Twitter mentions using or referencing hashtags related to the slogan "Ye is right" since October 1st, 2022. Such posts have been viewed by at least 5 million Twitter users, received more than 19,300 likes, and more than 5,000 tweets, according to the report. Listen to the number breakdown. Listen to the lengths that they are going to build a case against him. Because he has too much influence, is what they're saying. And they don't like that. They're upset that he got pulled from so many ads and endorsements and companies, and the fact that he's lost revenue. Like, he literally lost his billionaire status when he got dropped from JP Morgan and Chase. No, or was it Adidas? I can't remember. I think it was Adidas. And they're upset because they thought that was going to break him and he was going to come back groveling, because they love people, especially black men, who get on their knees with no knee pads and begin to grovel. Look at Nick Cannon. I hate to use Nick Cannon as an example, but I have to use him as an example. That's why they were so mad at Kyrie Irving, because he didn't grovel to them. He didn't get on excuse me, he didn't get on all fours and come back and say, "Please do not kick me out. I'll be a good old boy now." That's what they want people like Kanye West and Kyrie Irving to do. But because they don't, and they feel like they're fighting an uphill battle, then they have to write hit pieces like this. They're fighting an uphill battle that they are losing. So in order to go on the attack, what I'm reading right now is what they have to do. I guess that's, in a way, making them feel good about themselves. The report notes that Ye's anti-Semitic comments coincided with Elon Musk's takeover of Twitter in late October 2002, at which time the ADL noted an increase in both anti-Semitic content on the platform and a decrease in the moderation of anti-Semitic posts. But the impact of Ye's comments goes beyond social media, as illustrated by more than 24 examples of real-world harassment, vandalism, assault cited in the report. The report also points to specific examples that highlight how known extremist groups have seized on Ye's comments, using them to further their own anti-Semitic agendas. Back in October, a network of anti-Semitic conspiracies known as the Goyim Defense League was reportedly responsible for hanging banners with messages like "Kanye is right about them folks" over a busy Los Angeles interstate. I remember seeing that. More recently, followers of Nick Fuentes' America First movement, known as the Gropers or the Groypers, have been involved in events on the campuses of the University of Florida and Florida Atlantic University, where they defended West's rants from the tables draped with banners reading hashtag Ye is right and change my mind. Extremists will never miss an opportunity to leverage the attention that is put on their hatred, no matter where it is coming from, said Segal. Listen, if they gonna come after Kanye West, they need to come after some of the same people that I was talking about in the beginning of this video. Because they actually went out with the intent to harm people and or actually did harm people. Why aren't they talking about that? But you know what? I've decided to entertain them. So look at this right here. This was February 1st, 2023, at least updated, but it was still this year. The FBI has arrested a man suspected of firebombing a New Jersey synagogue. Why didn't the ADL talk about that? And that was this year. That was a couple weeks ago. All I know is this: I'm willing to bet it is a PC man. Now, what they did to cover themselves up is they covered themselves up, in, of course, in all black, and they covered their hands with gloves so they couldn't tell who race it was, or maybe not to burn themselves. But they definitely have a Molotov cocktail, and they actually were successful because it said they firebombed it. So this didn't make the news, at least not here or nationally, but they want to talk about Kanye West all the time. Here's another one. January 19th, 2022. 23 updated. Portland man, former journalist, charged with federal hate crimes. A man charged with arson and bias crimes in Multnomah County for setting fires to a mosque and vandalizing 2 synagogues is now facing federal hate crimes charges. And then, of course, you know, they put right here, violent hate crimes have been on the rise in Oregon, especially against black people, according to the state's biased crime data. Why aren't they talking about that? Again, another story that happened this year. Then, of course, you remember this one right here that I was just talking about. 2 men charged, one with Nazi armband in connection with threats to attack New York synagogue. That was the one I was talking about, where one of them, a family member, was in the Holocaust. Not this. I don't think it was this guy that you see on your screen, but it was the other guy. But I hate when these CNN ads pop up. But as you can see, November 20th, 2022. But they want to talk about Kanye West. And of course, who can forget Robert Bowers? Now, this was the one that I was talking about, who committed that mass shooting at that synagogue in Pittsburgh, where I believe 11 people were murdered inside. And they said that was the deadliest mass shooting that occurred in that community on record. And this happened back in 2018. But they barely talk about that. But they want to continue talking about Kanye West. I just gave you multiple examples. 2 of them happened this year. 1 happened last year. And this one happened back in 2018. So we had 3 that occurred after what Kanye said and 1 that happened years before what Kanye said. And if you ask me, this one is the one that, of course, was the worst one, because there were lives that were lost. but they were all horrible. But they are worried so much about what Kanye West is saying. And I can't use him as an example, but the other ones that happened after, nowhere did any of them say that Kanye West inspired them to do what they did. But the way the article that I read will have it set up will make it out to be like, oh, Kanye West, he's inspiring people to go out and commit these acts against this community. So you got to watch the wordplay. It's a trick bag. If they say it like that, then they'll have you believing that, oh, he is the reason why they're doing it, when they never specified that was their reason for doing the attack. Again, these are grown adults who are doing something on their own accord. Kanye West did not hold a gun to their head and tell them to go out and be domestic terrorists. And that's how they want to paint him out to be. That's what the narrative for them is. If Kanye West says something about that community, not only is he anti-Semitic, but he's also pushing people to come and attack us. That's what I'm getting from them. And now that they've written, and this is not the only piece that they've written about him, but they have to continue to do it because, like I said in the article, it's a slow news cycle with him. He's been out of the news lately. So what did they do? What did the ADL do? Come up with this so they can have a reason to go after him and keep his news and keep his name in the news, because it was getting too quiet and they needed a boogeyman to attach that to. And Kanye is that boogeyman for them.